A 14-0 deficit.
It was raining steadily in pregame, but since the opening gun, it has tapered off, and we've had generally dry conditions.
Yeah, we also heard about 40-mile-an-hour possible gusts and a real windy day, and really not much doing.
Schiavone up the middle. Picks up about 5, maybe 6 yards.
Good ankle tackle by Malinowski there. But a good run by Schiavone.
So Schiavone has really emerged as their horse. Nick Holquin had a breaker for about 20, 25 yards. Then he fumbled. Central recovered on the fumble, but they've been staying with Schiavone mostly.
Jermaine Mayo and Andy Hudson in for the Clippers now.
Schiavone again is set back. And Neil Robbins is the first up from the pile.
And you can see Benson back away from that play. The minute he handed the ball off, he started shaking his head, knowing that nothing was going to happen.
Paul Higgins also in on that tackle with Mr. Robbins. So Higgins is making his presence felt. It's third down and a long 3. Benson, Schiavone stacked up by White. And depending on where they give him forward progress, it's going to be very close for first down. White just kind of picked him up and threw him back.
He was met right at the line. Let's see where they spot it.
Well, that's it. Nonetheless, it makes no difference where they spot it, because that's the end of the first half. The Clippers go to the locker room with a 14-0 lead. We'll be back with second half action right after this.
Bicycle Bob's Bicycle Shop is your Seacoast mountain and road bike headquarters.
We're bringing you quality naturally and by Bicycle Bob's. They've got what the champions ride. I'm Scott Trench-Montagne. Jay Childs in the booth with me. Jay, a pretty good first half for the Clippers. Nothing to complain about. A 14-0 lead going into the locker room.
Once again, their offense got started slowly, but towards the end of the first half, we really saw it taking control, and they've put together some good long drives. The first quarter started off with Central 3 downs and out and set up for a punt at the 25-yard line. That punt was way over the head of Chris Holquin, and it was recovered by the Clippers. From there, Jeff White ran in for a 1-yard scamper at 8:44 the first quarter for a 7-0 lead for the Clippers after Butch Dobney tailed on the extra point. And then the only other scoring came with 1:24 left as Mike Schatzebel went 4 yards on probably the most interesting drive of the year. They had a first and goal from the 5-yard line, then a holding penalty against the Clippers sent them back to the 15, where it was first and 15. From there, an ineligible receiver downfield made it first and goal from the 20, and then a 6-yard pass to Chris Sorrell got it back down to the 4, and from there Schatzebel just drove it in.
That bizarre series of downs capped a pretty long scoring drive for the Clippers, and they have a 14-0 lead. The Central Little Green had showed spurts of moving the ball well offensively, but really never generated a consistent force as far as their ground game. Nick Holquin broke one for about 20, 25 yards. Schiavone had a couple of good pickups, 8 or 9 yards here, but they never really consistently generated a ground game.
No, they were in spots, and they would pick up a 6-yard run, and then from there on, the Clippers would just shut up all the holes. Really, the highlight for the Little Green of Central was early in the second quarter on a pass interference play, and that's been just about it. Other than that one run, they haven't had a whole lot of offense to speak of. And it looked as though early when Benson was going to that 2-step screen pass, that might be something that would get them underway, but you can only go to the well so often. And the way the line has been playing for the Clippers, he hasn't even had those 2 steps to drop back. They are really asserting themselves on the defensive line.
Penalty-wise, Clippers have had a couple that have been very costly. We talked about that... what am I trying to say? We talked about the, of course it escapes me, but when the receiver is interfered with by the defender, the pass interference.
Right, pass interference.
That was a big penalty, but we also had a roughing the passer penalty by the Clippers, which gave Central a first down when they were facing a 4th and about 20.
Right, it was 3rd and 18, and on the play, I believe it was Sean Connor had excellent coverage and basically had Benson down, and then Petruzzi came in and nailed another lick. Of course, you're going to do that when you see the quarterback ready to be sacked as easily as you can, but it was the 3rd and 18, and it set up a first down. Of course, no damage came from it. But you're also seeing a lot more of those offside and movement penalties that on a field that may be a little bit slippery, the footing isn't too sure, and all the players aren't exactly setting their ground. But really, as the game goes on, the weather and the field conditions are becoming less and less of a factor.
We have had a sloppy first half. Penalties going against both teams. We've had offensive offsides, defensive offsides. We've had an eligible receiver. We've had a couple of holdings against the Clippers, and it's gone against Central a couple times as well. That mental game hasn't, as we mentioned, hurt the Clippers yet, severely. It hasn't led to any points, but that's something that they're certainly going to try to halt in the second half.
Well, I tell you, Coach Dobney, the way he was looking before the game, I think is just happy to come out in the second half with the same troops he went in into the game with. We haven't really had any injuries, and for Coach Dobney, that's a sigh of relief. Now let's see if we can hold on to the troops of the second half, because there's a lot of people hurt for the Clippers right now, and a couple who are out for quite a while. Jeff Gray out for the season, and right now they're doing the job with the people he has, and they're not having to go too deep down the old roster.
The connection today has been Jimmy Pafford and Chris Sorrell. Pafford tried a long pass once to Jamie Hinton, but it was overthrown just a bit. He connected on a long pass to Sorrell to keep a drive going, and he connected on a 16-yarder to Sorrell to set up that touchdown by Schatzabel. On that second catch, Sorrell really made the difference as it was underthrown a little bit, actually held up in the wind. Pafford was throwing into a pretty consistent breeze, and Sorrell curled back under his defenders and made the catch at the 4-yard line.
And on all of those plays, each Clipper who was involved in that play has done a tremendous job. In other words, Pafford on one of them let the ball go just before he was hit. Malinowski was the blocker who held on to the central man just long enough for Pafford to get it off, and he threw a perfect pass to Sorrell. The next time he did it, the ball was underthrown, and Sorrell was able to come back and get the ball anyway. So if the ball is underthrown, the receiver's there to get it, or if the rush is on, the quarterback is able to get the ball off. So far for the Clippers, that type of play when they've opened it up like that has worked very well for them.
I think Jim Pafford has really matured as a quarterback. He is the senior starter, and he is primarily the passing quarterback, but actually he has assumed the dual role. They were saying Butch Dobney would come in and be the running quarterback on plays where they needed that, but we've only seen Dobney come in and play a few downs at quarterback this season. He came in for a couple downs in the Nashua game. Pafford has really asserted himself at that position, and I think he's a much more mature quarterback than he was last season, and his passing game really reflects that.
And he's showing the versatility. I mean, he ran the option for a few plays last week. The passing game, as you said, is there, and he's able to roll out. So far, he's doing everything.
There's the kickoff, fielded by Schatzabel on the reverse to Malinowski. Malinowski has a couple men to beat. He gets around him. Eric Malinowski now has to just get by the kicker. Malinowski at the 30, a good inside deke, and the kicker takes him down at the 16-yard line. That's Sean McDonough.
Boy, I hope we can get a replay of that, because Dave Petruzzi made that play happen. He took out two Central Little Green men right about between the 25 and the 30-yard line, and that sprung Malinowski all the way to the outside. But Dave Petruzzi with a crushing block to open it up down the sideline, and of course Malinowski just did the rest.
Eric had one man to beat, the kicker Sean McDonough, and I thought he had him on an inside deke, but McDonough did well to reach out and haul him down. Pafford rolling out on the play action, looking for the end zone under pressure, and he gets away from his man. Pafford might run it in himself, gets it down to the 5-yard line.
And a crushing late block by Jamie Hinton helps Pafford get down towards the end zone, and the man he hit is still down on the field for Central. We'll have to take a look. I'm trying to get the jersey number, but
he might have knocked the numbers right off the jersey.
There he is. Bob Harris, still on the ground for Central. trying to get up, and the trainers are keeping him down.
That's Ken Dompierre, trainer for Portsmouth. Harris is up. Looks like he just got rocked.
He wants to stay in the game, but
he might not know which sport he's playing right now.
Goes back into the huddle. Now he comes back out. Just a crushing block by Hinton. And we were just talking about Pafford and the maturity. He really waited to the last minute to see if he could throw the ball downfield, and then just tucked it in.
And what speed, too. He had 2 men on his tail. Hinton took care of one of them, and Pafford got it down to the 5. White lost his footing, and he slipped down to about the 2-yard line. He may have been able to punch it in, but that muddy field condition.
So the Clippers start off both ends of the first half and the second half with tremendous drive opportunities, scoring opportunities. We'll wait and see if they can punch it in from here. Harris now sitting down on the bench being attended to. Looks like he's okay. Just a tremendous block by Jamie Hinton.
Second down and goal for the Clippers. Ball at the 3-yard line. Mike Schatzabel on the touchdown. Excuse me. Michael Dowd, 38, fullback, so he gets in on the action. They'll all get one. White has one, Schatzabel has one, and now Michael Dowd.
10:47 left to go in the third quarter, and the Clippers only take a minute and 13 to get on the board.
All set up by that run back on the kickoff by Malinowski. Went back to about the 20. Then Pafford scrambled for 15. And now from the 3-yard line, Michael Dowd runs it in. Butch Dobney is 10 for 10 on the season. Point afters. Flags. And just as well, because it looks like Dobney
might have
tipped
gone a
it
little wide.
We'll see where the flags go against.
Dobney's clapping, so...
Offsides against the Little Green, so Dobney will get another shot at it.
And he was a happy camper on that one.
He chipped it wide to the right side. So the Clippers lead 20-0. Opening moments of the second half. Dobney will get another chance to make it 21. Jimmy Pafford, the holder. Always get the best man, the man with the best hands in there, and the quarterback is traditionally the holder. Line drive by Dobney, and he snaked it through. So the other one was, the first kick was prettier but wide. The second kick gets the job done.
Well, I'm sure Coach Dobney and Butch Dobney will take a low liner any times it goes, cuts right into the, right through the uprights. 21-0. Clippers starting to pull away just a little bit from the central Little Green.
Let's take a look at that on the replay. Here's the touchdown. Michael Dowd eludes one tackler and will just drag the next tackler into the end zone with him.
And now we'll await the kickoff. And let's take a look at the extra point. I believe this is the one that...
As you can see,
a bullet.
coming right back at you, Butch.
The Dobney Express.
Off the bleachers, back at him. Let's see how he does on the kickoff. Another low liner, squibbed, and fielded at the 20-yard line. Runner still on his feet, and he's taken down at about the 35.
So Jeff Hilwig gets it out to 35-yard line, where Central will take over and try to get something on the board, or try to put a drive together. They've had trouble scoring points all season. They've only scored 8.
To open the first half, the second half, Eric Malinowski with a 65-yard run back on the kickoff, eventually leading to the touchdown by Mike Dowd. Schiavone up the middle, hits a wall, then bounces off for another couple yards.
Tackle made by Connors. Now Hudson checks back into the ball game, and Malinowski will go out.
no rain during game time. A slight breeze at the back of Matt Benson and his little green. Benson on the pitch to Schiavone. Schiavone gets around the corner and he's bumped out of bounds at about the 46-yard line and taken down hard at the little green bench.
Yeah, Hudson really drove him out of bounds, and he got some help from Paul Higgins. And they're still going to be short by about 3. Short 3.
Lance Pereira goes out, and Hudson goes out for the Clippers. Neil Robbins comes back in.
It's not a whole lot that the Central offense hasn't tried, except a deep pass.
On 3rd down and 2, Schiavone looks like he has it.
That'll probably be enough, as Dowd made the tackle for Portsmouth.
Nothing. Clippers on top, 9:25 to go in the 3rd quarter.
More substitutions for Portsmouth as Kirk Whittemire is into the ballgame. Herrera comes back in.
1st and 10, Little Green. Ball right at midfield, 48-yard line. Benson goes to his horse, Schiavone, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, picks up maybe a yard, maybe a yard and a half.
Tripped over Connors that time.
So Little Green really has to crank it up here. They trail by 3 touchdowns, and it's still early in the 3rd quarter, but if they hope to mount any type of attack against Portsmouth, they're going to have to get it in gear.
Seems to me they're going to have to mix it up a little bit more.
2nd and 9. Benson to Schiavone, hurdles his way for a couple, and then he's stacked back by Malinowski.
Malinowski in on the hit, as well as Higgins. And that time carrying the ball like a loaf of bread over the pile.
A great pig pile underneath him, too, as linemen went against linemen and formed a real cushion for him to come down on. Hope he didn't cleat anybody. 3rd down and 6 yards to go. The ball is in Portsmouth territory at the 47-yard line. On the pitch, Schiavone will air it out. He's looking long. It's picked off by Butch Dobney. At the 25, Dobney on his feet. Out of bounds at the 40. Just underthrown by Schiavone, and Dobney was right there.
Well, it was double coverage anyways downfield, and that's a situation that even though he got the ball on the trick play to throw, you don't have to throw it if it's so obvious that there wasn't a man open. He probably should have just faked it, tucked the ball in, and see if he could have gotten some yardage there. Let's take a look at it on the replay.
You see Benson on the pitch to Schiavone, has time to throw, and just underthrows it. A good throw might have been there, but Dobney just stepped up in front of the underthrown ball and picked it off. It was easy as pie. Pafford on the option. He pitches to Schatzabel. Schatzabel turns the corner, has a 1st down, a pickup of about 14.
Excellent offensive plays being mixed around by the Clippers. As right there, they fool him with the option. Pafford executing it to perfection once again. At the last minute, gets it out to Schatzabel. And the Clippers are moving once again.
There's another indication of Pafford's maturity as quarterback now. The option is perhaps one of the toughest plays to really pull off well, because there are so many things you have to do as a quarterback. You have to be deceptive with the ball. And that time he was, and you know, Schatzabel was right there for the pitch, and you have to coordinate the pitch as well. On the reverse, Dobney on his feet. Pickup of close to 9, maybe 10 yards. So the Clippers are really mixing it up now.
Well, they've got some flexibility. I mean, they're up 21-0. And one theory says ball control, hold on to the ball. And if the weather was any worse, that's maybe what they would be doing. But they're at a point now where they can try some plays, try some things out that they really haven't earlier in the season. Most teams have been a little closer to the Clippers at this point in the ball game, and they haven't had that kind of flexibility. So they're mixing it up, and mixing it up well.
2nd down and 8, Coach Dobney. 2nd down and 2. Coach Dobney has the playbook wide open. Mike Dowd, that was a pretty conservative run up the middle. Wasn't anywhere near close to the first down. Probably got back to the line of scrimmage.
We'll see where the spot is, and he actually lost about a foot. Not quite a yard. So we'll set up a 3rd and 2.
Well, Jay, you were saying the Little Green had to mix it up, and they tried that on the flea flicker. It just wasn't executed. Now the Clippers are mixing it up, and they're executing. Pafford on the option to the other side now, and he's short of the first down. He opted to hold instead of pitching, and he comes up about a yard short.
It's probably for the best because there was some good pursuit there by Central, and Schatzabel was really too far to the outside to make the pitch. And with that type of coverage, when you pitch the ball out like that, one of the Central men could have stepped up and picked it off.
That's part of a quarterback's maturity, too, knowing when to hold on to the ball and keep it and try and get it yourself. The option is just that, an option. You have to make a split-second decision whether to pitch or whether to hold on. And that time, I think Pafford realized he wasn't going to get the first down if he held on to it, but he said, cut my losses, I'll take the tackle instead of risk a fumble or an interception on the lateral.
Exactly. Well, they've got a good opportunity to pin Central deep in their own zone, and Central hasn't shown that they're going to get out of any situation yet today.
Portsmouth has called a timeout. I wouldn't be surprised, Jay, if they went for it on this. They've shown they can move the ball. It's 4th down and 2. They just had 2 plays in a row where they didn't get anywhere. I think they probably realized they're due for a gainer here of at least 2 yards. I'd be surprised if they punted here.
Well, and give credit to Central, too. I mean, they've toughened up on these past 2 plays when they had to.
We'll see what Coach Dobney has in mind. He's in the huddle, and he'll head back to the sideline now, satisfied that Clippers know what they're going to do.
And except for that run by Dowd, which really didn't get them anywhere a few plays ago, you can see that they're running a lot towards the outside. They really think they can cut corners on this Central defense, and they're going to go for it.
4th and 2, Chris Sorrell on the end position, not in punting formation. Schatzabel has the first down, and then some.
Well, as you said, Scott, it seemed as though that they were due, and just running off tackle to that left side accomplishes what they wanted, and 1, the drive continues, and 2, the clock continues to move. 5:36 left in the 3rd quarter.
Clippers have enough confidence in their running game to know that on a 4th and 2, when you have a 21-0 lead and you're in your opponent's territory, you got to go for it. It's 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Pass play, Sorrell can't hold on that time. Almost another great sliding catch by Sorrell. Pafford put it right in the numbers, but Sorrell was falling down.
Yeah, he lost his footing early, and it seems as though he was trying to correct himself and catch the ball at the same time, and couldn't put the 2 together. I'm surprised. We've seen throughout this game, Schatzabel is still really carrying a lot of the load for the Clippers on their running plays.
Scoring plays for Portsmouth. Jeff White, a 1-yard touchdown run. Mike Schatzabel, a 4-yard touchdown run. And Michael Dowd, 4 yards. Pafford will air it out again. He's under pressure, and he's sacked, and he fumbles. Fumbles before he's taken down. Pafford is getting up slowly. The ball goes back to Central, and Pafford's still halfway up on his knee. He was just pummeled by Randy Parker.
Yeah, Parker just leveled him, and that's the worst, really the worst kind of sack for a quarterback to take is when the person sacking you jumps on you basically and drives you directly into the ground. He wasn't hauled down, he wasn't dragged down, he was just pounced on and brought directly down. That's a tough play for a quarterback because they can sustain an injury that way.
Pafford looks more angry than hurt on the sideline. He seems to be okay, shook it off. Pitch goes to Schiavone. Schiavone trying to cut inside, and he's hit quite hard. Neil Robinson on the tackle, Chris Sorrell, and Sean Connors.
See, it looks as though Central is pitching, doing that same play, pitching to the outside of Schiavone. But the problem is, by the time he gets the ball, he's 4 yards behind. He's 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Let's take a look at that sack and fumble. You see Parker coming in, and he just pounced on him. And Parker looked like he was able to wrap his hand around and strip it from Pafford before he crushed him into the turf.
You can see how that causes some anxious moments when you see a guy just get driven into the ground like that.
It's second down and 12. Here's Holquin. Nifty bit of running. Picks up about 5 yards.
That was almost it was a draw play, almost disguised as the Statue of Liberty play, as he brought his arm up as if he was going to pass and then hand it off, and it worked.
That would be mixing it up for you, Jay.
But that's the kind of thing that maybe Central can get some. We've got a flag on the field. And Coach Schubert is really going at it with the referee.
I'm not even sure what his beef is. He's trying to indicate with his hands. Quite vehemently. And he got a flag. I would imagine that flag goes against him. Unsportsmanlike.
Because he threw it directly at the side, didn't throw it in any direction of any of the players. I was going to say a little earlier, Schubert has spent half the game on the field. I mean, he's been a couple steps off the sideline and actually onto the field. So I don't know if this jawing has just begun. Here's a situation where the coach really kind of backs up his team.
Maybe he's trying to fire them up. Maybe he has a legitimate call that we and the referees missed. I'm not sure.
Well, if he is, Central's getting fired up 15 yards further down than they were when this started.
Third down and quite long. Holquin trying to turn the corner. He won't. Gang tackled at the 31-yard line.
Yeah, when they're running those running plays that they end up getting the ball way behind the line of scrimmage, it's just not working, trying to cut it to the outside. They need to hand the ball off no more than a couple yards behind or right at the line of scrimmage. Try to go right up the middle or go right off tackle, but pitching the ball out 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage is not working for Central right now.
3 minutes to go in the third quarter, 21-0. Clippers on top.